God damn them! God damn them! God damn them! God fucking... What the world?
Welcome to, oh my God. Welcome to NXT, my NXT review. February 27th, 2023. The crazy thing is, as good as this episode of NXT was, as fun as it was, there was one huge issue. F's in the chat. I don't know what we could do about this now. Shawn Spears is in NXT. Oh my God, if the Good Brothers weren't bad enough, they had to bring in Cody. I want Cody to lose so bad now. I want Cody to have the biggest, most cinematic, pyro-filled entrance in the history of WrestleMania, just for him to do the job in 3 minutes. I hope Cody Rhodes has nothing but bad days and headaches for the rest of the year. I am so fucking mad that he I hope he traded finishing his story for getting Shawn Spears a job. This is horrific. This is like dropping a nuclear 5-ton bomb of shit right in the middle of NXT. Now, why would you do that to these kids? They're building up the show. They're doing good stuff. I mean, there's so many guys here doing good stuff. And then you come up here with your Shawn Spears loving ass and then say, I think Shawn Spears will have a job. Why not? He's a good performer. He's a good hand. Yeah, I don't care about the 10 man. Nobody does. People are disgusted at this. This is wicked business. This is voodoo. This is trash, Cody. This is a heel turn in my book, bro. This is This is not good. It ain't good. Nah. This is traitorous behavior. This is a poison pill into the WWE, man. This is a disaster. How did he talk Triple H and Shawn Michaels into this? Really, how did he do this? Did he put on that fake-ass smile of his and swear up and down that he's better now? He's much better than he was before. I mean, he's helping me run the Nightmare Family. And how did his voodoo work to get Shawn Spears a job and it couldn't work for QT Marshall? Did Triple H and Shawn say, look, we only got room for one. Pick one. You know, they put their names in a hat, and then Cody just put his arm in there and swirled it around and picked one. How did they land on, we're not going to hire QT, but we will hire this other bum who walks around with a mohawk and he's in his early 40s? Why not let that bum go to TNA? You know you want to just send him to TNA, man. And here he is in WWE back again. Damn. In other news, man, Shawn and Triple H, they went and met the CW executives in a room that looked like it was full of college students. I don't know what the hell was going on in there. I don't know what they talked about. Nobody even asked any questions, but it was just a couple of pictures. And Shawn is walking around in a cowboy hat. All right. Whatever. He looked like a lit cigarette all the time. I don't understand what's going on with him. Shawn is shriveling up too, man. It's really sad. But it's not like the state of Hunter's legs. My goodness, what the hell is going on with Triple H's legs? Why everybody in WWE getting all skinny all of a sudden? Except some of the older guys, they're getting buff. But whatever is going on with Becky Lynch's entire body is going on with Triple H's legs, for Christ's sake. I don't think you can just say, well, he's off the stuff. I don't know, man. Because his upper body is not shrinking to the same degree that his legs were shrinking. Oh, man. Anyway, let's move on. All right, so Carmelo Hayes and Ilya Dragunov. Let's kind of hop, skip, and jump through this. Ilya wanted to see Carmelo face-to-face. Carmelo said, no, he don't want to see Ilya face-to-face. He will not get in the ring with him until there's a contract for the championship match at Stand and Deliver. So, Ava Raine gets together. She creates some kind of shindig with her, Ilya, and Carmelo Hayes, and they're going to discuss this. And Carmelo Hayes has like too many security guards. He has like hella security guards. He got more security guards than Biden. It's insane. So they have the powwow in the ring with Ava and the contract, and Dragunov says that he sees that Carmelo Hayes is willing to do anything, disregard anybody, discard any friendship and relationship possible for the championship. And Melo says, yeah. And, they're both alike in that way. He's just a little bit colder in how he do business. Now, earlier in the night, Luca Cristofano got into a match with Dijak, and I thought it was phenomenal. Now, I don't give Dijak too much credit about anything. So I was impressed with Luca Cristofano. When they were chopping back and forth, I was like, man, this kid is going for it. I mean, he's laying his stuff in. He's not small. He's not as big as Dijak, but he's not small. He's laying his stuff in. He's coming across as fiery. Yes, he's wrestling in like loafers, and slacks, but he's showing something. This guy has a lawyer gimmick, and he's really showing something here. I was into it. I normally don't pay attention to Dijak matches, but geez, this was good. So, of course, Dijak wins. After the match, Tony D'Angelo basically tells Stacks, you see that? I want that guy. You got to go get him for me. And Stacks is like, right now? He's like, nah, I got some business to handle. But, go get him. So then Tony D'Angelo, the next time you see him, he interrupts the Carmelo Ilya Dragunov powwow. And he immediately starts establishing himself as a top guy in this conversation. Melo is just incredulous that Tony D'Angelo was even there. He says, there's only one Don. And he snaps his fingers and all of Carmelo's security just walks on out. Big pop. Everybody's like, oh shit. Tony D'Angelo can do stuff. He can do things. And he's talking about how, these guys have dominated the main event, the title picture for 8 months. There's only one person who can change all that, and that's the Don of NXT. He starts talking about how Ilya Dragunov is a little too dramatic for him. And he doesn't think that Carmelo Hayes should get the shot. And it says that Tony D'Angelo earned everything that he ever got in NXT. And anything he ever did to somebody, they earned it. So he wants a match to fight for the championship match at Stand and Deliver. He wants to fight Carmelo Hayes. Now, Carmelo Hayes is upset about this. He's not interested. He thinks that he can just get this title match by pissing Ilya Dragunov off. Dragunov is then given the ball by Ava. Ava says, well, I know I'm the general manager apparently, but I'm going to let you make the matches. So if it's up to you whether you want to fight Carmelo Hayes or you want these two guys to wrestle for it. Dragunov says he wants to see Carmelo Hayes earn it, so he okays the match. So Melo is now pissed, called Ilya Dragunov a coward, so he didn't want to have a match with him. It then says that he's going to beat Tony D'Angelo because he is the Don of NXT when it comes to that title. And they fight. There's a mistake punch where, Dragunov gets decked by, I believe it was Tony D'Angelo. And then he turns around. Carmelo Hayes puts him through a table. He then signs the contract, throws it on Tony D'Angelo. So, Roadblock next week, Tony D'Angelo versus Carmelo Hayes. I like it. I've been saying for, I don't know how many months, that it's been time for Tony D'Angelo to get back into the conversation as being a top guy in this here NXT. And it was kind of sudden, kind of out of nowhere, but I liked it. He came in, established himself. It was breaking up the monotony of Dragunov, Trick, Dragunov, Melo, Melo, Trick, Melo, Dragunov, Melo. It kind of broke all that. And now it's somebody new in it, and it feels a little bit different. This is what we've been wanting from Monday Night Raw. It can't be the same people over and over again. And I'm not in my mind thinking that Tony D'Angelo is going to win. I'm just saying it's somebody different in the title picture for the first time in months. It's like, thank you. Finally, for the first time in forever, it looks like somebody else is going to be involved in this conversation. Somebody else might be doing something. And it opens the door for Trick Williams to cost Carmelo Hayes that match. And for Trick, Melo as Stand and Deliver in their own match, but Tony D'Angelo to fight Ilya Dragunov as Stand and Deliver. And I like that idea too. So there's a lot of different options. You can go with the Melo and Ilya because they have so much history. Or you could have Trick cost Melo the match and go with Dragunov D'Angelo. And I like that idea too. So this is great. This is fresh booking. This is, new eyes. People are looking at the talent roster and elevating guys, not keeping guys in the same position forever and they're just spinning their wheels. I've been saying that for a long time now, that it seemed like Tony D'Angelo was spinning his wheels. And now it seems like, okay, Braun is leaving. There's a couple of other people probably on their way out. Melo is probably one of those people. It's time to start elevating guys. Thumbs up. I support that. Okie dokie. So Gigi Dolan is backstage. She wants to know what's next for her. She and Ava, they go off to talk about it, but instead Jada Parker fine ass is in that room already, and she also wants to know what's next for her. And they get into it, Gigi and Jada Parker. I don't know how they're existing in the same room with so much ass, but hey, I like it. They end up having a match against each other because that's what Ava Raine wants. But before we have that match, we end up having a backstage segment that popped the hell out of me because I like the random stuff that happens in NXT. There's some really random things that occur. And this week's random thing is that Ariana Grace is now a pacifist and doesn't want to see anybody fighting. Now, this has to be set up. So, Lyra Valkyria, she told Tatum Paxley that if she stayed backstage for the championship match, she had a surprise for her. So, the surprise this week was that Tatum Paxley is going to be her tag team partner, and they're going to wrestle the Kabuki Warriors for the tag team championship. And Tatum Paxley, of course, is extremely excited. Now, throughout the promo, Tatum Paxley is being incredibly weird. She says that she's talking about being devoted to Lyra Valkyria, and then backed off and says, "Oh no, I'm just a person on my word, a woman on my word." Then she also, as Lyra Valkyria is trying to find the right words to describe how this team is going to work, she says, "I don't need that we're tag partners." And she was like, "More than friends." And she's just being really weird. And it's humorous. So they set up this match, Tatum Paxley and Lyra Valkyria versus the Kabuki Warriors. Completely and totally random. There's no heat here, but it continues the story of Tatum Paxley and Lyra Valkyria. And they're backstage, and heavens to Betsy if they didn't show video packages on Asuka and Kairi Sane as if you don't know who they are. I mean, Asuka has been in WWE 10 years thereabouts, right? And they still do video packages. Huh? How about that? Not some motor mouth guy spitting off factoids for a mile a minute. They showed you that these two girls have been in NXT before. They're both NXT champions. Asuka is undefeated in NXT. All this stuff is tremendous, and they're really building it up. And Tatum Paxley and Lyra Valkyria are watching on the screen. And they're like, oh boy, this is going to be tough. Tatum Paxley is like, she's going to make sure that Lyra Valkyria is a double champion. She's got her back and everything. And then Ariana Grace is sitting there, and there's a bunch of other girls sitting there, and Jada Parker strolls up. She already got into it with Gigi Dolan earlier. And she mentions that these two girls who are going to fight the Kabuki Warriors, they're going to get humiliated next week. And so they started getting in Jada Parker's face. And Ariana Grace was like, no, what is going on here? Why is everybody so mad and everybody wants to fight all the time? So then she asked Lyra Valkyria, what is your problem with the Kabuki Warriors? And then Lyra Valkyria says, I want to be a champion? I don't really have a problem with the Kabuki Warriors, but I want to fight them. And she says, well, we have to learn how to solve our problems with words. We don't have to fight. And then she's told, this is NXT. Fighting is our normal. And so Jada Parker walks off, and Lyra Valkyria and Tatum Paxley, they walk off, and Ariana Grace sits down and and holds her crown and says that fighting is only normal until we change it. So now all of a sudden, she's a pacifist. She doesn't want anybody to fight anymore. So Jada Parker fine ass is out here fighting Gigi Dolan. And they actually are scrapping, kind of. They throwing punches in each other's faces. And it's okay. It's not the best match on the show. It's all right, though. It's not nearly as bad as it probably should be. And all of a sudden, Ariana Grace comes out there. And she's outside the ring begging them to stop fighting. She's, please stop it. Stop it. Stop it. And she gets up on a ring apron and hooks Gigi Dolan's arm and tries to stop her from throwing punches. This, of course, is a distraction. Jada Parker wins the match off the distraction. And, and Ariana Grace is trying to tell Gigi Dolan, we must not fight. We must come together. And it's ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd that she's been a wrestler all this time and now all of a sudden she's like, I don't want people fighting anymore. It's ridiculous. But it actually is a good extension of her phony baloney character where she spouts off a bunch of platitudes about, making people feel good. And she comes across like a baby face, like, a normal person. But it's to such an extreme that it's also quite condescending. That she actually doesn't understand her own surroundings. Like people are constantly arguing and fighting, and she puts herself in the middle of it. Even when she's saying things that kind of make sense, like it's still almost R-Truth-ish, where how could you be so devoid of context around you? Like, sure, people should not fight to solve their problems. There's nothing wrong with saying that, but this is a wrestling company, and sometimes people fight just to fight. Some people fight for championships, which is what Lyra Valkyria was telling her, and she seems devoid of the understanding of that, and thought that she could change it. It's ridiculous, but it's humorous because it's still very heelish. And that she went in there and didn't try to get in the ring and stop the fight. She purposefully cost Gigi Dolan the match, which is heelish. And this is such a random thing. This is so goddamn random. I wonder how long this is going to stick around, that she's going to be a heel this way, because she's very entertaining, that Ariana Grace. I like her. And Jada Parker also mentioned being on World Star, which was right. She's amazing. She's good. She's fine. All right. Kelani Jordan wrestled Kiana James, which was probably one of the better matches of the night. Kelani Jordan, once she starts tightening up her stuff and it stops looking so choreographed, she's going to be really good money. Athletically, she's tremendous. She got to work a little bit on her charisma. She doesn't talk at all, which is not good for somebody like her. She needs to talk more. But Kiana James is experienced. She's been doing this for a little while. It was a good match. Izzy Dame yanked Kelani off the top rope. She took an ugly bump on the ring apron. Threw it back in the ring. Kiana James hits the deal breaker for the pin. So that worked out fine. Kiana James wouldn't be done for the night, however. Backstage, we get to see Thea Hale is hanging out with JC Jane and Jasmine Nix. And she got dumped by Riley, who says that she wasn't the girl that he wanted to go out with. And JC Jane's like, what do you mean? And she was like, oh, the high energy, super positive Thea Hale. And JC Jane was like, what? That girl was a loser. And Thea Hale was like, what? And then she was like, yeah, you were that, not you, but that version of Thea Hale, the old Thea Hale, she was a loser. And then JC Jane starts talking about how Andre Chase is a loser and Duke Hudson's a loser. And Thea Hale is listening to Fallon Henley. Oh, Fallon Henley's a loser. And then Kiana James comes over there and they both laugh at the idea of Thea Hale listening to Fallon Henley, which is great because, why would you listen to Fallon Henley? But they're tying everything together because we know that Kiana James and Fallon Henley have like a long history. And this is JC Jane who saved Chase University, and now it's gone to her head. You know, Kiana James is a business person, and she sees that JC Jane is good with business. She came up with this calendar, made all this money, so now Kiana James wants in. She wants to discuss the calendars. So JC Jane and Kiana James walk off and leave Thea Hill by herself, who is now left to ponder that JC Jane thinks everybody's a loser. And what she's going to do about that. And I remember I just read a few minutes ago that people said that there's no character development in NXT. Are you not paying attention? Like people say like WWE spoon feeds this stuff to you, and people still miss it. They have been doing months and months of JC Jane has been a bad influence on Thea Hill. Changed how she looks, changed how she behaves. Now, old versions of Thea Hill have slipped back in here and there, and JC Jane keeps trying to stomp it out. She's playing whack-a-mole with the old Thea Hill. And whenever she gets super high energy or really excited about something, JC Jane kind of, calms her spurs from jingling and jangling too much and tries to get her focused on one thing while also giving her terrible advice. And the Riley Osborne thing is the ultimate, because this is somebody that Thea Hill really wanted to date, and then she got bad advice from JC Jane, and JC Jane was just kind of like, so what? He's a guy, get over it. There'll be other guys. And she doesn't look at it that way. And then, JC Jane lets the mask slip when she starts calling everybody in Chase U losers. You see that this is how she really felt the whole time, probably. So this is excellent character development. What the problem was is that it wasn't developing quick enough, and maybe there was some diversions here and there. But they're finally back on track with JC Jane being a bad influence, and now Thea Hill has recognized it. So now we're going to see how she's going to move forward, because Kiana James is not well liked in that locker room. In fact, pretty much everybody has feuded with Kiana James. So that ought to be interesting. They didn't have more than enough women's matches on this show. Roxanne Perez last week was super angry about missing the open challenge because she took a shower. Jakara Jackson walked up to Roxanne Perez and says that Lash Legend, she stays ready so she don't have to get ready. And Jakara and Roxanne start yelling at each other, which led to them having a shoving match or a little bit of a brawl, which led to them having a match on this show. Roxanne Perez versus Jakara Jackson. Now, this is Jakara Jackson's first singles match. She's been floating around NXT for at least 4 months. And this is her first singles match. And it was actually a good debut. This is her first singles match on television. It was not bad for her first singles match. Roxanne Perez clearly was walking her through it, but Jakara Jackson has some natural charisma, some natural personality that, if given some time, it'll all gel eventually. So Lash Legend is ejected for distracting the referee. Then there's this slap fight where Roxanne and Jakara Jackson are just slapping each other in the face. I don't know how long this lasted. It lasted for maybe about 30 seconds. But it was just back and forth, slap, 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 slap. And I was like, oh my God, what are they doing? In the end, Roxanne Perez ends up winning with the crossface. Jakara Jackson has a future. Just give her some more time, and I think she'll get it. I think there's something there. And, just give her some more reps, and she'll be able to figure it out from there. Gallows and Anderson defeat Idris Inoue and Malik Blade. Then they get jumped by Chase University, Axiom and Frazier, and the LWO because they jumped all those guys last week. This leads to the Good Brothers floating away. This match was okay. Idris Inoue and Malik Blade really saved it for me. I don't like the Good Brothers. I can't stand these guys. But Idris Inoue and Malik Blade, they're high energy baby faces. I enjoy watching them. They're stuck in the mud, whatever. So the two old bald guys, they're going to continue to get the push. The Good Brothers, they wander around and end up backstage where they meet up with the War Dogs, Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin, and they're trying to bond. Braun Breaker wants Baron Corbin to airbrush his jacket. Baron Corbin refuses. Um, it was a silly conversation they end up having. Anyway, they get met by the Good Brothers. The Good Brothers are talking about Baron Corbin pretending to care about being in NXT. Baron Corbin then puts NXT over by saying coming down to NXT was the best thing to happen to him. It reinvigorated his career. And the Good Brothers like, oh, if you guys are the NXT Tag Team Champs, this is going to be easier than we thought. So then Baron Corbin and Carl Anderson get into it when he starts talking about Carl Anderson getting slapped by AJ Styles, and he almost dared Carl Anderson to do something about it. To which the Good Brothers says, okay, we'll be waiting for you guys if you manage to beat Chase University. Oh, this is ill. This makes me sick. The Good Brothers, their presence, their presence. Oh my goodness, you can tell that they're trying to sleepwalk through this NXT thing. I'm not seeing renewed passion, renewed vigor, renewed interest in what they're doing. Maybe it'll take some time because they're used to sitting at home doing nothing. But I'm not seeing that the Good Brothers are excited to be in NXT, or it's something that they're going to actually care about, that they're going to bring some intrigue to. And it is official now, apparently. It's not official until he actually shows up. But it's supposedly being reported that Tama Tonga is going to be joining WWE and probably will be brought to NXT. And his contract, I think, is up in March. And Stand and Deliver is WrestleMania weekend, so that would be early April. So perhaps we'll have Tama Tonga and NXT with the Good Brothers. All of these guys are 40. Like, it's Shawn Spears, the Good Brothers, Tama Tonga, all these guys are 40. And we're just going to dump all of these guys in NXT. Oh my God. What are they doing? What are you doing? You go into the CW in October, and instead of having Braun Breaker and Tiffany Stratton, we're going to have Gallows, Anderson, and Shawn Spears. This show's going to get canceled, bro. this show's going to get canceled because, oh, that's so sad. I love me some NXT. This shit going to get kicked off the air. Anyway, Noam Dar didn't care about who his opponent was going to be. Maybe he should have cared, because his opponent was Charlie Dempsey. And Charlie Dempsey wins the Heritage Cup. See, this is what I mean by NXT is the best show. This is a complete surprise. Yes, there was not much in the way of build for this, and you probably would have preferred to build to it. But they give Noam Dar this out, that he didn't know which one of these guys his opponent was going to be. So it's an excuse for Noam Dar to lose. And also, Noam Dar has been the Heritage Cup champion for 700 days or something, some nonsense like that. It was time for a change. Charlie Dempsey was the guy who was chosen to go over to Japan. What was this? Almost 3 months ago now, to represent NXT and All Japan Pro Wrestling. I figured he would get a push after that. I don't know what took so long, but they're putting him in the Heritage Cup division. I'm not sure if I love that idea, but it's better than nothing. So Charlie Dempsey wins rounds 1 and 6. He wins the first round with like some kind of crazy roll-up pin. It was great. Noam Dar won a fall in the 5th round, and Charlie Dempsey won the final fall in the 6th round with a dragon suplex after there was a minor distraction by another one of the no quarter catch guys outside the ring. This is apparently going to lead to a metaphor babyface turn, because they were actually outnumbered in this issue. Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson both were not out there. It was just Oro Mensah and Noam Dar. And they pulled the old switcheroo where he didn't know who his opponent was going to be. So they gave you all these excuses why Noam Dar loses. I don't know what you do with Noam Dar now, but I don't want to see him in this Heritage Cup division no more. It's over. I'm done with it. Let's just go with Dempsey from this point forward. And maybe we can make this division interesting because Dar couldn't do it. I know Dempsey seems to not have a lot of stroke. And again, it took forever to get him in this position. But they're actually elevating him now. They're actually using him. So this is good. I support the title switch. Good. Okay, so Dijak, after he beat Luca Cristofino, he was attacked by Joe Gacy, who was still wearing a straitjacket. They brawled all over the ring. Then backstage, Dijak is arguing with Ava. Joe Gacy had commandeered a camera, and he assaulted Dijak again, leading Ava to force an asylum match for Roadblock next week. I don't know what that means. I hope it's nothing like that Ambrose Asylum absolute disaster that was with Chris Jericho and Dean Ambrose a couple of years ago. That one's been almost 10 years ago now. What a disaster that thing turned into, right? I don't see how it could be better with Dijak in it, but we'll see what it turns into. Okay, earlier in the night, Obafemi wants to know the name of his next victim. Ava Raine did not have an opponent in mind, so he stormed out. And all of a sudden, Brooks Jensen challenged Obafemi to a match. Even though Brooks Jensen lost to Josh Briggs last week, he said he busted up Josh Briggs, which I guess technically did happen. You know, you could bust somebody up and lose, but it doesn't make sense that the guy who lost gets a title shot. That's dumb, actually. Obafemi was offended and actually accepted the challenge, so I guess that's how this works. But no, I mean, it's better than me watching Josh Briggs again, so I can't complain, but I would have preferred if the guy who won the match gets the title shot, you know? That seems more sensible, isn't it? Anyway, Lexis King is defeated by Von Wagner. This was disturbing. I hated this. Afterwards, Lexis King attacks Robert Stone because Robert Stone is the reason he lost because he was distracted. Lexis King then attacked Von Wagner and Robert Stone after the match. I guess they're going to continue this feud. Get Lexis King away from these guys. These guys suck. These guys are no good. All right, so Ridge Holland, he interrupted the Tatum Paxley Lyra Valkyria promo. This was such a schizophrenic segment. My God, it just seemed like a lot was going on. He interrupted, said, you know, he was very apologetic. He was very, I'm sorry, but I have to get this off my chest. And he asked them to leave the ring, and he's getting booed out of the building at this point. Everybody's like, wait a minute, you're a jerk. You just told these girls to get out. They're excited about this whole thing, this tag team championship, and you're like, get out of the ring. I have something to say. And then he starts talking about how he has no malice in his heart, and he didn't mean how to do all these horrible things. And then the light shut off. And it's like the truth will prevail, and the pain brings it to light. Then he gets hit with a chair from behind by a guy, and the guy is Shawn fucking Spears. He is announced as Shawn Spears, not Ty Dillinger, by the way. Later, Shawn Spears says that Ridge Holland has been lying to himself and that the truth can bring you to your knees, and that's why he hit him with a chair, to show him that he needs to be true to himself. This is already off to a bad start. Fire this motherfucker out of a cannon into the nearest river and just leave him there. Shawn Spears is one of the most worthless, useless sacks of human shit ever born, likely. I know he's got a baby to take care of. He's got to pay the bills somehow. But let his ass go outside and shake an empty cup like the rest, like normal people. Like normal fucking bums. Go outside, pretend to be blind, pretend to be homeless, like normal fucking people. All right? Go sell bean pies or something. You're not good at this wrestling thing. All right. Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. I love NXT.